2024 was a terrific year for horror movies of all kinds, and it was an especially great year for sickos who love horror movies. It's tough to think of a year in recent memory with more utterly bonkers, wild, and unapologetically off-the-wall horror flicks that pushed the envelope, took risks, crossed the line, and ensured nobody who saw them would ever forget them. From unforgettable death scenes to traumatizing sequences, shock twists, and everything else in between, these horror movies went hard and then some. I'm Ellie for What Culture, and here are the 10 most WTF moments from 2024 horror movies. Number 10. The Offspring, Alien Romulus. Who among us expected Alien Romulus to revisit a plot point from Alien Resurrection, of all movies? In the third act, the pregnant and badly injured Kay injects herself with a mutagenic compound in a desperate bid to save her life. Though it heals Kay, it also causes her to violently give birth to a mutated offspring, a grotesque human xenomorph hybrid that quickly grows into a gigantic, gangly creature that looks like a cross between an engineer and a xenomorph. It's certainly one of the most viscerally off-putting creatures we've ever seen in the Alien franchise. All the more so given that it's implied to have used its protruding tongue to breastfeed from Kay, who now lactates a black goo-like substance before killing her. Romulus may be far from a perfect movie, but it certainly struck a fittingly queasy chord just when it mattered most. Number 9. Michael loses his penis. Lisa Frankenstein. Lisa Frankenstein is a delightfully weird movie for the most part, though it certainly pushes its PG-13 rating to near breaking point with the gnarly late film sequence where a dude's penis gets hacked off with an axe. After Lisa catches her crush Michael in bed with her stepsister Taffy, Lisa's zombie pal intervenes, swinging an axe down on Michael's penis and cutting it clean off. Gore-wise, we don't actually see more than a few splashes of blood on Michael and Taffy's faces, but the ridiculous silhouette of Michael's severed member hurtling through the air at great speed and landing in a trash can sure is hilarious. It's pretty out there tonally, but on the flip side, this surprisingly brutal moment does allow Lisa to later attach the appendage to the creature, whose own penis has presumably rotten off, so they can actually have sex. Number 8. Margaret's possession, The First Omen. Beyond the obvious WTF moment that is The First Omen actually being a really good movie, its most shocking scene occurs after pregnant novitiate Margaret is involved in a gnarly car accident while on the way to have her demonic pregnancy aborted. Margaret emerges from the wreckage and starts spasming around on the ground, making beast-like vocalizations before her womb suddenly swells to full term and she's grabbed by the very evil folk who got her pregnant in the first place. Nell Tiger-Free's physical performance in the sequence is absolutely fearless, all the more so as most of it takes place in a single, unbroken take. And if that's somehow not enough, the scene also offers up a neat treat for horror fans with its clear nods to a very similar breakdown sequence from 1981's Possession, where protagonist Anna miscarries in a subway. If you weren't on board with the movie yet, this was surely the tipping point for many. Number 7. Mr. Melancholy, I Saw the TV Glow. Jane Schoenbrun's I Saw the TV Glow is one of the most fiercely unique horrors of the year, and though it's packed to the gills with WTF moments, it's never more discomforting than during that skin-crawling Mr. Melancholy sequence. At the end of Act 2, protagonist Owen sits down to watch the enigmatic final episode of the TV show he's become obsessed with, The Pink Opaque. The disturbing finale shows protagonists Isabel and Tara having their hearts removed at the behest of the villainous Mr. Melancholy, before they're force-fed Luna juice and then get an up-close and personal glimpse of Mr. Melancholy himself. His nightmare fuel-worthy moon face is sure to immediately embed itself deep in the audience's subconscious, and that's without even mentioning that Isabel and Tara are subsequently buried alive. Schoenbrun did a fantastic job of making an innately horrifying sequence even more unnerving through their twisted sense of style. Number 6. The Husband Did It, Oddity. Firstly, if you haven't seen Oddity yet, well just go and watch it right now. Do it. Damien McCarthy's brilliantly executed old-school chiller begins with the murder of psychiatrist Ted Trimis's wife, Danny. And though we're initially led to believe that one of Ted's patients is responsible, it's quickly clear that something fishy is going on. What's less predictable, though, is that Ted turns out to have orchestrated his wife's demise himself, with it eventually being revealed that he hired Ivan, an orderly at the psychiatric hospital where he works, to kill Danny so he was free to start a new life with another woman. It's a savage twist that leads to a gut-wrenching third act in which Ted attempts to cover his tracks, leaving more death in his wake. However, Ted didn't count on Danny's twin sister Darcy having a supernatural plan in place to ensure that Ted wouldn't get away with his heinous crimes. Number 5. The Baby Dies, The Coffee Table. Spanish comedy horror The Coffee Table features one of the most WTF moments from any horror movie ever, as protagonist Jesus attempts to stop his newborn son from crying. In the process, he accidentally bumps into the titular piece of furniture he recently bought, in turn dropping the baby on the table's sharp glass pane and killing him instantly. It's a truly stomach-churning, "oh, you actually went there" moment of shock for the audience, making it clear that the next hour or so of this blacker-than-black comedy is going to be an absolutely grueling sit. Though audiences are mercifully spared from seeing a clear glimpse of the poor baby's corpse, we do later learn that it was decapitated by the glass pane. As if the situation isn't already unbearably horrible enough. Number 4. The Cops Show Up, Strange Darling. Strange Darling is a mostly fantastic film that keenly toys with audience expectations while unfurling a grim cat-and-mouse game between a cop, credited only as the Demon, and a serial killer known only as the Electric Lady. 20 or so minutes before the movie's end, though, the Electric Lady kills the Demon by biting his neck and leaving him to bleed out, before hastily restaging the scene to make it look like she was the victim before the cops arrived. 2 police officers soon turn up, with the female cop, Gail, swiftly assisting the victim, all while the male cop, Pete, seems considerably more skeptical of the entire situation. This results in the pair arguing over what to do, Gail insisting that Pete won't listen because she has a vagina, and when Gail's judgment is later shown to be incorrect, Pete responds by calling her a dumb bitch. The entire sequence with the cops honestly feels like it was pulled out of a different movie, from the terrible dialogue through to the bizarre tone, which seems like it's taking issue with the Me Too movement. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with a horror movie featuring a female villain and exploring how our preconceptions about gender roles can be dangerous, but the clumsy, nuanced, devoid writing in this case almost derails an otherwise brilliant movie. Number 3. Paris Gets Flooded, Under Paris. Netflix's absolutely wild shark movie Under Paris, in which a giant shark ends up in the Seine, concludes in a totally bonkers manner that nobody could have seen coming. In the climax, researcher Sophia hatches a plan to lure the sharks out of their base in the catacombs and blow them up before they can interrupt a triathlon taking place in the Seine. This doesn't work out, leading to many of the swimmers quickly becoming shark chow. But it also gets so much worse than that. The military panics and starts shooting at the mother shark, Lilith, with some of the bullets hitting unexploded World War II bombs that have been sitting at the bottom of the Seine for the better part of 80 years. That gunfire causes some of the bombs to explode, triggering a chain reaction that annihilates many surrounding bridges crucial to Paris's infrastructure. The result? Paris becomes completely flooded, with Sophia and diver Adil surrounded by hungry sharks as the end credits roll. Oh, and a mid-credits scene suggests that the sharks have now made it out of Paris to rivers around the world, teeing up a bigger, more chaotic sequel which was recently confirmed to be in active development. Number 2, an entire concert gets cursed, Smile 2. The moment that Smile 2 was announced to be centered around a pop star, Sky Riley, many predicted that the film would end up with her passing the trauma curse onto thousands of her mostly young followers at a concert. And even though the sequel's ending may have been predictable, that didn't really make it any less traumatizing to sit through. While performing a live show, Sky is assailed by the demonic entity, a grotesque skinless monster that tears Sky's mouth open and crawls inside, possessing her in the process. Sky then turns to the audience and kills herself by jamming a microphone into her eye socket, all while her fans helplessly look on. Again, it's basically the ending everyone expected. But the cruel brutality of the scene, combined with the utter insanity it suggests for Smile 3, which could focus on the curse basically becoming an epidemic, made it no less impactful as a result. Number 1. Monstro Elissasu, The Substance. Even accepting that The Substance was marketed as a body horror film, did anyone expect it to go quite this hard in the final act? Fading middle-aged celebrity Elizabeth Sparkle and her younger self, Sue, end up abusing the rules of the titular compound, unexpectedly leaving them both fully conscious at the same time. The resulting clash sees Sue beat Elizabeth to death, only for Sue to realize that without Elizabeth, she's going to rapidly deteriorate. In her desperation, Sue then attempts to use the substance to grow a younger version of herself, only to create Monstro Elissasu, a disgusting fleshy hybrid of the two ladies. Even so, Elissasu heads off to present the New Year's TV special she'd been hired for, only for the audience to naturally express revulsion at her appearance, leading to a hilariously over-the-top gore-fest finale in which Elissasu is decapitated by an audience member. The final scene then shows what remains of Elissasu collapsing onto Elizabeth's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the remnants of her original appearance then fizzling into the pavement. What a damn ride this movie was.